Though maybe a little bit different here. Lizzie, was this his last window of opportunity to be under Javier Aguirre's eyes before the next year's World Cup?
Yes and no. I think the difference here is, in the case of Chucky, yes, there's competition, but it's not as marked as the competition for 9. Obviously, when you talk about who's that starting striker for the Mexican national team, the competition is Jimenez versus Jimenez, Raúl versus Santi. The conversation with Henry Martin surrounds this great sub and who's coming off the bench for depth, but I wouldn't necessarily put him in that category of he was still fighting for that starting role. Now, we've seen Javier Aguirre start 2 forwards, which is great, but it's still Jimenez and Jimenez. That's what the fans want. That's what Aguirre wants. And Raúl and Santi are proving no reason not to have that formation.
So it sounds like a little bit like what you were saying with Chucky here, Cesar, a luxury sub. Henry Martin, a luxury sub too. So with both of these luxury subs out of the way, the starting lineup seems to be a little bit more clear every day for Javier Aguirre.
Yes.
But who can be now those new luxury subs on the bench? Like, who could benefit the most without both of these players being here?
Well, let's think about a certain player who just won a league title, has been arguably the best Liga MX player over the last 12 months. I know he hasn't stepped up too much for El Trin. People always talk about that he wears the jersey. It seems a little heavy on him, but I think it's now time for Alexis Vega. I don't know what you guys think, but I think he's especially someone who could really step up in this opportunity when Chucky's not there. I'm not saying he's going to be starting. I still think in this Javier Aguirre system, where he prioritizes a little bit more of a defensive setup, I still like the idea of a Cesar Huerta on one wing. I still like Piojo Alvarado on the other. But if you're looking for something off the bench to score a goal, I think the easy answer is Alexis Vega.
I'll get to who can benefit right here. Give me a chance here with Henry Martin. Mm-hmm. Now, you're talking to a guy who played 0 qualification games in a World Cup cycle and made his way onto a flight to World Cup. I've been on both ends. The next World Cup cycle, I was heavily involved, didn't make it due to injury. I've been on both sides. But Henry Martin, it feels like he's constantly disrespected. He's constantly looked past. Out of every 9 in this pool, he's the only 9 with a World Cup goal. Raúl Jimenez has played in multiple World Cups, 2014, 2018, 2022. He's never been the man. I love the redemption arc for Raúl Jimenez, who will be 34 years of age next summer. Hopefully he can be that player. But for a player like Henry Martin, who in Javier Aguirre's eyes may be extra cancha, extra football, the reason he's not there is more of a headache to him. And the Federation has already cast him aside for Copa America. They've already proven that there is life after Henry Martin, whether we like it or not, whether it was successful or not.
They've gone the route. Resolved?
They've got the point.
Apparently.
Obviously not. Obviously not. Because they'll be resolved the day.
So this was a perfect excuse to leave him off. He was probably going to leave him off anyway. Is that what you're saying?
I have no idea he was going to leave him off anyway. I just think it's an opportunity missed for Henry Martin. Because this is Copa Oro, Gold Cup. There are guaranteed 7 games for the Mexican national team here. 7 games to showcase yourself in front of Javier Aguirre, whether he likes you or not. Now Ángel Sepúlveda may have that opportunity. Now he may be the benefactor of those games. After this tournament, with that many games, and not just the games, the way you interact with teammates, the way you carry yourself on the field, the way you train, the leadership abilities that Henry Martin has, that's a month of proving yourself to the one guy who gets to decide your fate if you're going to go to a World Cup or not. He doesn't have that anymore. He'll be 34 heading to the next World Cup, and he'll have a select few dates where you get together for about 4 or 5 days at a time, and that's it. You better hope he thinks you look good. You better hope he calls you up. But this was your opportunity. So why it may sound illogical to say he's gone, he's off, and I'm a guy who made it in the last possible moment. This is a massive opportunity missed for Henry Martin.
I mean, in the end, we might just see Jimenez in the end, and the other forwards might even get an option. So yes, it's an opportunity missed, but I mean, it's not as if the Gold Cup's an extremely long tournament. I wouldn't be surprised if it's just...
Well, it's over 3 weeks. It's a month that you're going to be with the squad. They were already together.
Yeah.
And you're going to play 3 weeks in the tournament. That's a month you're under Javier Aguirre's eye. Now, you could sit here and say Jimenez. What's Santi Jimenez's best moment? He's coming off the bench against Panama in a final, and that's it. What's Raúl Jimenez's best moment in an official, something official? Well, it was the Nations League that just passed. That's it. So none of those forwards that we're talking about are also guarantees. I repeat, I love the Raul Jimenez redemption art.
Yeah, but they're much
we gotta see
bigger
it.
guarantees than a Henry Martin. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many goals do they have in the
Period.
World Cup?
Doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
What I'm trying to say is Henry Martin has always done.
Clearly, that doesn't matter if this is a Mexican
It's not
national
clearly.
team and a federation
It's
that
not
leaves
clearly.
that bans players for extra cancha things,
Well,
for asking
Why wouldn't it matter then?
What do you mean, why wouldn't it matter
if he's
then?
if he's not up there, of course it matters. Henry Martin's the only one in this pool of the forwards that's actually knows what it is to score a goal in a World Cup.
Right.
He's captain of Club America, arguably the biggest team in North America. This is a player that's proven that when he's not scoring goals, can still help the team. The only problem is, excuse me, I forgot which one of you said it, but he's not the choice of the litter. They want to see both Jimenez. They want to see or Raul Jimenez do well, or they want to see Santi Jimenez do well. And they're still waiting to see Santi Jimenez do well. For whatever reason, Henry just keeps getting overlooked.
The good news, though, for him, though, is you look at the other options. I mean, Ángel Sepúlveda, he's in a good moment, but, like, do we really think he's going to keep that up into the World Cup? I feel really doubtful about that. Beyond him, like, Memo, I'm not entirely sure. Like, Stefano Carrillo, like, I think the striker, it's just, the good news for Henry Martin is that after the top two options, I just have a lot of question marks about that.
My worry for Henry Martin is the injuries have been more common as of late. And for a player who's going to be approaching his mid-30s, that's going to be hard. And you mentioned Ángel Sepúlveda. He's 34 years of age right now. He reminds me very much of the guy I used to play with called Oribe Peralta.
Okay.
Those late type of bloomers, exactly same type of player, same profile. That's a very useful player to have in your back pocket if you're a coach like Javier Aguirre.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's going to have to see who is available for him right now and maybe think it's a very similar conversation that we had recently for the U.S. men's national team. This is the opportunity for these CONCACAF coaches to really see who they can count on for next year, because we know that obviously Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. already have that ticket in hand, but the work is still very much ahead.